What's up, everyone? As always, I'm your host, Jake Griffin, and welcome back to another edition of the Sports Report right here on LBTV. As always, it's been an action-packed couple weeks in Lynx sports. First, the women's volleyball team was in action last night, this past Tuesday, as they took on nationally ranked Columbia, looking to improve on their 3-15 record so far this season. The men's soccer team was in action also against Columbia yesterday, where they would fall 2-1. We'll have full coverage and highlights of that matchup, as well as a preview of the AMC Women's Soccer Game of the Week, where your Lindenwood Belleville Lady Lynx will be taking on the number 25 Columbia College Cougars. It's Columbia Week here on the campus of Lindenwood Belleville. We'll also have full coverage and highlights of Saturday's football game against St. Francis of Indiana, where the Lynx would look to improve upon their 1-2 record so far this season, as well as talk rugby for the first time on the show this week, so it's a pretty action-packed episode of the Sports Report, to say the least. Start off with volleyball. The Lady Lynx volleyball team was in action this past Tuesday as they took on Columbia College, looking to pick up a big win against the number 11 ranked team in the nation. The Lady Lynx would fall in straight sets 3-0. It was a pretty rough game for the Lady Lynx. 15 total kills for the team, and Stephanie Cathcart led the way with 7 of those kills. It's been a rough season so far for Coach Wells' team. They look to right the ship later on this season, actually on the 1st of October, as they head to face MOBAP in another conference matchup. MOBAP, the number 3 team in the nation in women's volleyball. Game starts at 7 p.m. Good luck, ladies. Switching gears to soccer now. Coming off a stellar last season, Coach Dan Hogan's men's soccer team has struggled just a little bit out of the gates and currently sit at 5th in the AMC League table, sporting a 5-4 record this season. This past week, they traveled to Columbia College looking for a win and trying to improve, their place in the league table. And again, as you can see, the men's soccer team, they fall 2-1. It was another just rough game for the men's soccer team. Nicholas Nicolaci didn't even start this game. It was the first time since 2013 that Nicolaci has not started a game for Lindenwood Belleville. He was out with an injury, undisclosed injury. Backup goalie started, and it was a tough game for the Lynx as they fall 2-1 and drop to 5-5 on the season so far. We'll take a look at the next game up for the men's soccer team. The Lynx will hit the road to face Hannibal LaGrange in a conference matchup on October 3rd, looking to improve upon that 5-5 record. The game is set for a 3:30 p.m. start time. Good luck to the men's soccer team, looking to improve their record. Switching gears now, staying with soccer, but switching to women's soccer, I should say. The women's soccer team now, they've come out of the gate very fast, starting the season out with a 5-3 record, as well as sporting a 4-0 undefeated record in conference. This week, the Lady Lynx will travel to Columbia College, to Como, Columbia, Missouri, and will play in the AMC Game of the Week, where they will face the Cougars of Columbia, who sit at 25 in the nation. As you can see on your screen, the game set for a 7 p.m. start time. Lady Lynx, if they win this game, would take over number 1 in the AMC conference. As I said, with the win, the Lynx would move to 5-0, giving them the number 1 seed in the conference. So good luck, ladies, in that one. We will be keeping close tabs on that. It should be a very good matchup as Columbia College comes in sporting a 7-3 record and also undefeated in the conference. We will take a quick break, but stay tuned because we will have football right here on the Sports Report on LBTV. We will break down the football game from Saturday, the 74-13 loss handed to the Lynx by St. Francis of Indiana. We'll also welcome the head ball coach, Dale Carlson, to the desk to break down what happened as well as talk about preparations for MOBAP during the bye week. Stay tuned. This is the Sports Report on LBTV.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
And welcome back to the Sports Report. It's football time here on the set of the Sports Report. So let's take a look at these football highlights from this past Saturday. The Lynx welcomed the first-ranked team into Lindenwood Stadium this season in St. Francis of Indiana as they came to town, sitting at number 14 in the nation and spotting one of the more prolific offenses in the country. And like I said, let's take a look at those highlights. Lynx coming into this one coming off the tough loss at St. Ambrose, looking to improve their record, get even on the season, back to 500, 2-2. They enter this game with a 1-2 record. We'll pick it up here in the first quarter of action, live from Lynx Stadium. And right here, Nick Fair drops back to pass, fires one out into the flat. You see a couple missed tackles here, cut back to the middle as Coate hauls that one in for a first down and then some. It was a well-oiled machine, the offense for St. Francis of Indiana. Fair is going to take a stab deep, and he would do that all day long, at least while he was in the game. Looked like a touchdown down at the 1 as Coate hauls that one in. They would later punch it in from 1 with their running back. This time, the Lynx now have the ball, first quarter still. Handoff up the middle, Cam Harris stuffed, and that's the way the Lynx offense moved all day long. This time, Fair bootleg, fakes the bootleg, hands off up the middle to its running back, scores another 1-yard touchdown. They'd go up 14-0. They'd end the first quarter up 17-0 after a field goal. Pick it up in the second quarter of action. And this is where things kind of started to get out of hand here for the Lynx. It was a rough game all day long, and St. Francis really blew the game open on this quarter, I should say. They'll fake the handoff. Fair's going to look deep, fires over the middle to a man, has him, and then some as he hauls that one in. First down, they would then kick another field goal here through the uprights and good. They'd go up 26-0, and they would go on to win 74-13. Nick Fair, 22 of 38, 388 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The St. Francis, Indiana Cougars, 729 yards of total offense. Tough loss for the Lynx there, and at this time we'd like to welcome in the Lynx head football coach, Dale Carlson, to the desk. And Coach Carlson, how you doing today?
Oh, doing good, Jake. It's a new week, and it's time to get back to work, and just working to try and work the kinks out from last week, and get better from Missouri Baptist.
Now, you guys are in the midst of your bye week, so we'll talk a little bit about both the Missouri Baptist game coming up and last week's game against St. Francis of Indiana. We'll start with the St. Francis of Indiana game. Obviously, like I said, a tough loss there. Wrong end of the scoreline for you guys. But what, if any, are the takeaways from that game?
Well, if you look at the game itself, a couple of, I think, things that were really key. It was a 7-0 game with 4:53 to go in the first quarter, and we had some opportunities potentially to tie it up. We had an offensive penalty that took us out. We were able to hold them again. We moved the ball a little bit. If we could have scored on both those situations, maybe taken a 14-7 lead, might have been a different game. Unfortunately, we didn't do that early. And a team like St. Francis, when you have an opportunity to battle them, you have to take advantage of those opportunities, and we didn't. And unfortunately, as you said, we ended up on the wrong end of the score. A couple things that really stood out as we went back through the video. We had some tackling issues. 270 total yards St. Francis had after first contact, and so you can't do that against a really good football team. Unfortunately, we didn't finish plays, and so we've got to get back to the drawing board and understand that you have to have 11 players running to the ball offensively and defensively every time. You got to finish plays, and when we did that, we were fine. We just didn't do it consistently enough.
Now, we talked about sort of the injuries before we came on the air here. You did say that injuries played a big factor in Saturday's game. What is the status of, most notably, T.J. Onstadt, one of the leading tacklers for the team?
Sure. T.J.'s been out since the Olivet Nazarene game, and he's going to have some things evaluated here, this week to see when we might be able to get him back to playing. But TJ obviously being out middle linebacker, has affected us. I think the last 2 weeks. More importantly, we just had a string of bad luck in the defensive line. James Brown got hurt a week ago at St. Ambrose and was not able to play this past week. Then we lost Matt Blaharczyk on, I think it was play 6 or 7 of the game, and he went out. And just when you look at just a few of the other players that ended up with some other injuries. Of course, we lost Jordan Haynes way back even before the season started. So our depth in the defensive line has definitely been affected, and we got to the point Saturday where we really had to get down deep into the depth chart, and against a good team like St. Francis, especially on the road when they're not traveling a lot of players. We just weren't able to hold up against their starters with some of our backups.
Now, this is a question I think sort of that everybody has on their mind, and I know from a coaching standpoint, you never want to just hit the panic button after one game. But are you guys, as a coaching staff, thinking about any major changes at this point going forward to the season?
No. We moved some players around in the last couple of weeks. T.J. Dunk's moved from safety to receiver, and he played a little bit, and so we're going to really have actually liked what he's done in practice. And that was after Tyler McNair's injury, and then unfortunately we lost Brandon Graves early as well last week. So TJ, I think, is going to really help us as we move forward to the Missouri Baptist game in 2 weeks. I think the bye week's going to really help him. But not really major changes. I think it's just about working the fundamentals, coaching our team, trying to get some of the players back that have been hurt, back to full strength, so that we can feed put our starting group out there that we had the first 2 weeks of the season. And so I think that's where the bye week comes back. When you talk about hitting the panic button, it's about teaching fundamentals and demanding that we get our players to finish plays and to play and do the things that we expect them to do as coaches. So we're just going to continue to coach the fundamentals and coach up our schemes and work to get our team better at doing that.
Now, you talked about some players changing around a little bit. We saw Javar Glover take a couple snaps at offensive linemen. Is that something we could see going forward? Yeah,
we're kind of looking at that as well. We felt like we were hurting a little bit depth-wise in the offensive line. So Javar was coming back off the knee injury. We felt like, where could we best utilize him? So, it's very possible that, he's going to be taking more reps. But, in the state of where our defensive line is, he might also get some reps. He might be a two-way player just because of some of the injuries that we're facing at that point right now. We were kind of looking at doing that a little bit Saturday. We never quite got to that. Hindsight, but in foresight, maybe we should have given him some reps in the defensive line because he is a very, very good football player. I think when he's healthy, he's probably one of our best players, either offensively or defensively. But as I said, he's coming back from the knee surgery that he had right before camp started. So, but he'll be playing some offensive line as we move forward into the second half of the season.
All right, so enough dwelling on the past. Let's look forward to the future and the week after the bye week. MOBAP. Lindenwood did beat MOBAP last season in MOBAP's first season of football. What can you tell us initially about this year's MOBAP team?
Sure, just looking at Missouri Baptist, we haven't spent a lot of time at looking at them at this point. We've really been just focusing on coaching our players up and getting them to understand our offense and defense. We spent a couple of days on this bye week already just coaching the fundamentals, practicing ones versus ones, twos versus twos, and not really worrying about them. Defensively, they're a 4-2 team, kind of similar to what we've seen from St. Francis. So I think that familiarity going forward with seeing kind of the same defensive front is going to be very, very positive from that standpoint. Offensively, they run a lot of different formations, do a lot of different things. They really haven't found a lot of rhythm yet. They've also struggled with injuries. As we've looked at video, they've played at least 3 different quarterbacks that we've seen. So we'll probably get a little bit more of an update after this week, after the Taylor game, to kind of get an idea who their starting quarterback is going to be. But they're a one-back set team like so many teams are, but they like to play with the tight end, so they like to try and create the edge with the tight end to run the ball, play action pass, those things. As I said, we really haven't spent a lot of time looking at them yet. We're really focusing on just getting our team better at fundamentals and techniques.
Now, one last question before we let you go, Coach, and this is sort of more scheme, kind of focusing on last week, but can apply to this week. We've seen you guys sort of change up the defensive formation, maybe run a little bit of 3-4, switch it mid-game. Is that something we could see going forward the rest of the season as well, especially in the MOBAP game?
Yeah, and I think part of that is more of a formational matchup and a down and distance matchup. Now, part of that was due to the injuries as we just went forward through last Saturday's game, we just were running out of defensive linemen that were healthy, so we decided to play the odd scheme a little bit more. We'd done back and forth from the 4 down to the 3 down as the other games had gone through, mainly based on a down and distance situation. So, we're going to try and get healthed up and be able to, our goal is to be able to do those things, that we want to do with playing a 3 down in passing situations, or matching up formationally with personnel, and then going into the 4 down thing. But Missouri Baptist, with liking to play an attached tight end a lot, our goal would be to be in a 4 down look as long as we're healthy enough to do that.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right,
thanks for your
Jake.
time.
Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you next week at MoBap.
For sure. Good luck next week, Coach. The game will be broadcast live on 89.1 HD3 The Link. As always, you can catch myself and Justin Torneau on the call. Game kicks off at 4 p.m. Stay tuned, everyone, because we're going to take a quick break. But when we return, we'll talk rugby for the first time this year. This is the Sports Report on LBTV.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
And welcome back, everyone. It's that time of the show, finally, rugby time here on the Sports Report on LBTV for the first time this season. We'll talk a little bit of rugby, one of the more successful programs on the campus of Lindenwood Belleville, and only in their first season is the rugby team, as the rugby team took on the defending WIIL South champion Illinois State, the Redbirds, Saturday the 14th of September. They won that game 28-19, as you'll see on your screen. Anthony Ferreira chipped in a try. Nick O'Brien led the team with 2 tries and a scrum half, and Jacob Gilliam scored late to help seal the win. Fullback Christian Paletti had 4 conversions leading the team. It was a big win for the Lynx, actually. The game was tied going into half 14-all. Paletti converted again, though, in the second half as the Lynx went up 21-14. The Illinois State scored in the final 10 minutes. The conversion kick was missed, though, and that would leave the Lynx up 21-19. They would go on to win 28-19 over the Illinois State Redbirds. So great start to the season for our illustrious rugby team here on campus. Doing great so far. Good job, guys, and good luck in the rest of your season. That is all we have here for this edition of the Sports Report. As always, I've been Jake Griffith. For everyone here on the set of LBTV and putting in work on the Sports Report. Same time, same place. Don't forget to tune in, everyone. Until next time.